Welcome to another episode of Movie Talk with the brothers Krynn, Sans one brother. Hi, I am your host, Spiracy. How are you doing today, sir? Oh, hold on. Let me see. Make sure that you're coming in correctly because I'm having audio issues, it looks like. Uh, oh, well, it's not the bad audio thing. It's the fact that your audio wasn't coming in at all. There you go. So
Okay, how's it?
it's coming in perfect now. Okay.
Okay.
It was for some reason it was not catching the Discord.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's one of those days.
So, how are you?
Tired. Well, that comes with the territory.
Hmm. Well, you are a father after all.
I'm trying to figure out what my dog is barking about, and I clearly do not know. And at this point, kind of don't care. So,
And how's Jen?
he's doing all right. He should be. He's probably at work right now. So,
I was hoping he'd show up.
I don't know. See that? Here's the question: is like, has he even seen this before?
Hmm. Well, how could he not? It's a great movie.
Well, it's my first time actually was watching this movie. I didn't necessarily. I didn't necessarily know this movie existed until like a few days ago when it was suggested. So then again, this is apparently this show is a TNT original film.
Yeah, it's a trilogy.
Yeah, it's a cable network made for television movie, and yeah, it's trilogy, and it also leads into like a whole series, a television series, and
I'm not going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there. We don't talk about that series.
I had never seen the series. I don't know anything about the series. All I know is that
I mean, it's shit. It's shit. There were one or two good scenes in it, but shit. We don't talk about it because, like, come on.
is it one of those
I
ones
don't
where like the main character takes a backseat to the diversity
Yeah,
crew.
they promised a series about his character, but then they basically just said, right, you know that character we built up over the course of 3 movies and you all love? Yeah, he's going to be here for cameos. He gets punted off the stage and shows up for season finales, season premieres, nothing in between.
Oh,
So you
okay.
may as well just skip everything in between. And the
If
problem is, um, like the Rebecca Romijn, is that it? Does a great job trying to carry the show.
Rebecca Romaine. Yeah, she is Mystique.
Okay,
Okay, yeah, so
uh,
she's in the later series.
yeah, she did a great job carrying it, but trying to, but the bad writing, like, she can't work miracles out of nothing.
Okay, so it's
The one guy who plays a the one guy who plays a character, I think from Texas, does a great job.
uh-huh.
But like, trouble is bad writing, bad acting, some. So you're basically screwed. There's one or two good episodes, but for the most part, it's garbage. Um, and the main character took a backseat because they didn't really want to bring him in throughout the entire thing. I think due to the fact that he was running around making other movies.
Oh, this
And
it's a
uh,
2023 to 2025 series. Okay. That you could have just said less on that one. I was looking it up as you were talking. So, I'm wondering if this is kind of one of those, oh yeah, main character white male, maybe we should bring in some people from other ethnic backgrounds to balance out the cast type like behavior.
and female.
Yeah, and female because we're
And
all girl bossing too
yeah.
close to the sun.
Yeah, well, they had like the concept behind their diversity characters was good. Like the concept was good. There was some creativity there.
Mm-hmm.
They even got it to work in one or two episodes. But overall, when you put the series together, it's like, this, what is this mess? I would have been better off about this.
I asked for this.
Um,
I asked for
well,
something else, and you gave me
yeah,
something entirely different.
yeah.
Kind
I
of.
guess I think the season 2 finale is a great ending for the series.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is they kept going, and it was like, okay, if you had to stop there, we might have been able to salvage this, but you kept going. Why the hell did you keep on? Please go away. And yeah, it overstayed its welcome. I got mixed feelings about the series, so I just sometimes I watch it, sometimes I enjoy the odd episode. I skip a lot of episodes because I just want to see Flynn. I mean, I Flynn Carson is a great character. He's fun. He's
Well,
great.
he,
But
I'm gonna. Well, we can get started talking on this, but it was like until he actually had the interview, I was kind of like at a loss as to like understanding his character. The interview was where like the real him kind of came out, and I was like, oh, okay, this is why he's
yeah,
interesting. But like everything
yeah,
else was just kind of standard protagonist. Uh,
yeah. He's a loser. He's a
yeah.
schmuck.
Well, I saw that and I was like,
Um,
okay, dude's 30 years old. He's got 27 advanced degrees. He's basically just kind of living at home with his mom. And what's interesting about him, or what's going to make him the chosen one for the story? And then he pulled the full of Sherlock Holmes in the middle of his job interview, and I was like, okay, there you go. That's what I want to know about. I want to know like what makes this man special. Like so far, the
and you
beginning
find Mhm.
the beginning kind of came off kind of like I can't remember. It reminded me of
Andrew.
Inspector Gadget, kind of like the bumbling hero. Yeah, the bumbling hero.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting is the second movie is going to make him into a competent character because it skips forward a year.
Okay, so he's
And
been doing this for a year. Yeah. Well, like I said, the job interview
yeah,
really just kind of pinned it on, or it felt like the
yeah,
writing locked in like right around there. That I was like, okay, now this dude like
I
basically
agree.
he read the interviewer like a book, like just in a span of like 5 minutes, and I was like, okay, this is good. This
Yeah,
is good writing.
I agree. And when I first saw it, I was amused and charmed because um, even like the beginning, I liked it only because I thought it was funny and it reminded me of my friends and I when we were in uni. Because it's like a lot of us were just mastering unimportant shit. Like we were just, you know what I mean? It was like, oh, well, how about learning how the Futharks from, the Nordic runes, how they work? How
Mm-hmm.
about how old they are? How about like learning every tidbit of little extra information we can? I was in like two, three clubs and we were basically doing that
Mm-hmm.
and just having fun of doing that sort of stuff. But the thing is, the movie then takes the character in a direction none of us could go, and we really liked it. And the thing is, the second movie goes some way towards explaining that first little bit up to the interview. The second movie, excuse me, uh, explains the missing dad, gets into all that, into Flynn's character from the time before the interview. And although they kind of jump into the adventure like within 5 minutes,
Okay.
but they use the adventure to explain aspect of his life and why he's lost. And that part of the reason he's living with mom and he's not doing anything in life is because he deliberately self sabotages.
Yeah, I
And
noticed that with
it has to do, yeah. And the other thing is that the father figure he did grow up with um, it's not that he didn't do him any favors, it's that, sort of, it's that him and Mommy Dearest kind of blew up dad in a way. You know what I mean? Like in his mind, but also that. they didn't really polish Flynn's sense of independence. They smothered him. Even his father figure smothered him. And the problem with that is, um, Flynn was someone who, as he explains in the movie, in the second movie, he just missed his dad. Like, he had two, three people in his life who tried to take that place and wanted to fill up that hole, but he just missed his dad. Like, you can't, there's no replacement.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
And
pretty much a natural thing for, especially for men, like in that situation.
yeah, and since Flynn can't quite find himself a job, and since because he's obviously very autistic as well, so he's shit at social crap, and he's got two people that he can like. If things go wrong, he always just goes running to them. He's like, "Well, uh, things didn't work out. I'll just fall back on mom and uncle, whatever his name is." You know what I mean? It's like I'll just fall back on them.
Okay.
Well, that's not set up for success. That's setting you up for failure. You're not even trying.
Yeah, I haven't seen the
Thing
second one,
is,
so I still haven't. I didn't know the
no
backstory part on
problem.
that.
Well, we'll deal with that in like 2 weeks or something, because that might be Dan my next choice. Um, that way we can watch over the course of like a month, the trilogy, and you could gauge your opinion on Flynn. Um, but I like the interview just because it's just Charlene just it's like next, yes you come in. It's like wow. I've done job interviews where it felt like that. You know what I mean? Like if someone
Yeah,
who just looks like they utterly hate your guts. It's just so funny. And but I've also had interviews where it's like, don't worry, they basically mother you through it. You know what I mean?
I see.
And yeah, like I've had both experiences, so it's a bit funny. Um, but Charlene, like, what did you think of her first scene?
Well, it's Jane Curtin, so obviously she's gonna play as deadpan as possible. Like Jane Curtin's from the old SNL days, the good SNL days, the where Dan Aykroyd and her did a news
Yeah.
show, and the what was it? The catchphrase for that was "Jane, you ignorant slut." Oh, that was Jane, you ignorant.
Hmm.
So that was the joke was she would say
Yeah.
something and that he kind of would basically dress her down in Dan Aykroyd fashion. But she's actually you could tell she actually cares, but she cares in her own way. The dressing down thing was interesting all the way up to where he basically like had her completely figured out. And then it was like, oh, yeah, her demeanor changed entirely, which I was like, that's kind of like audience satisfaction. Whereas like you're watching this kid get basically shit on by everybody around him, and then he just like unloads on him. What? But instead of like actually emotional outbursts, it's like, yeah, your nose was broken. You were divorced. You live with two cats. I was like, bro, you didn't have to murder her like that.
It was like, is that what you had in mind? Never. And I didn't break my nose until I was 6. I love that line.
Yeah,
Like he's
she's
just annoyed by it.
yeah, she's like the no nonsense secretary or the sassy secretary kind of character.
Yeah, I also like that I like that they quote Shakespeare. This is something I don't see many movies doing. Post 2000, you know what I mean? So
Well, yeah,
rare.
post 2000. That was kind of when the media shift happened, because I think right around up to about 2000, close to 2010, is where you saw that full media shift, and then it went like full into just social or social
Nonsense.
engineering was what I like to call it.
Yeah, but I just meant like around 2000 they started to do it less and less.
Yeah, it leaned into that. By about 2010 is when it went full on social engineering, and you started to see a lot more narratives being constructed about, or every American piece of media has like some Trump analog or something like that. Because we have to divert
Well,
all of our ire to the political figures.
yeah, for some reason. Um, and of course, uh, I just like the fact that once we see the library, it's honestly what I probably would have wanted to visit as a kid. I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have gone in there and been excited and spazzed out and ran around throughout the place, just plucking books here and there.
When I saw that
Um,
scene, it kind of reminded me of there's another another TV series on Sci-Fi called Warehouse 13. They kind of had a similar setup to where all these major artifacts are just kind of in this warehouse, and the main characters were entrusted to maintain that. And there was like this crazy season where apparently H.G. Wells was the main villain and had tried to cause the like some sort of apocalyptic event or whatever. So it kind of was reminiscent of that, but I feel like this is a little bit more centered into that library area, which I do like the fact that there's artifacts all over the place, and that trope has always been something I thought was pretty cool.
yeah, and he. I'll have to take a look at that one. The library, though, I like how there's Excalibur, there's Pandora's box, and Flynn comes close to just being open the box because he's curious. And um, yeah, I just like how Excalibur apparently has a personality and doesn't initially like him. I thought that was funny.
It was I
Um,
thought that was kind of cool too, because I was like, no, he's not gonna pull that Excalibur out of the stone now. He's gonna probably do it like at some point, or maybe there. I thought the invasion of the library was gonna happen later on in the film, so I thought maybe he was gonna pull
yeah,
Excalibur out to defend the whatever they were after.
yeah,
But that turned out a lot different than what I was expecting. So
yeah. It it doesn't happen till well, he doesn't pull the sword out until much, much, much later for a good reason because, well, no,
I don't think I don't think he felt he was worthy in
he's
the
gotta
moment.
do the yeah. I actually like that we see that kind of humility in the character. In today's age, we have characters bragging and bragging and bragging.
High arrogant characters, yeah.
Yeah, and the trouble is that the is we don't like we have nothing but girl bosses, and even when people write male characters, um, uh, I've noticed. Actually, my editor today was complaining about this. Um, there's a marvelification happening
Yeah.
across art and media, and even in indie books, and it's getting to be a pain in the ass.
It's the
And I also see it sometimes.
there's that Joss Whedon level of dialogue that usually permeates a lot of modern media.
Uh, yeah, I mean, if I had to choose between shooting baby Hitler, baby Joss Whedon, and baby Stalin, I might go for Joss Whedon. Just a statement from him. Just joking. I wouldn't shoot him. But the thing is that um, there's an arrogance about the characters that we have today. Flynn doesn't have that. He's humble and he doesn't think himself worthy. And this is a very unusual quality in a main character these days. He refuses to even pick up the sword. He doesn't even want to try it. Instead, the sword pulls itself out and nearly gives him an extra shave when he talks about, oh, I'm going to tell my mom. Wait till she finds out that I was specially chosen for this great duty.
Like, nope, tell nobody. And I also like that. No, it's one of those things where it wasn't sprung on me that we're gonna have Bob Newhart in this series. Wait, we get Jane Curtin and Bob Newhart. So I was not prepared. I was not prepared for a lot of things because apparently Kyle MacLachlan like just kind of jumps. Or I got jump scared by Kyle MacLachlan being in this, which is actually kind of cool because I've not seen anything Kyle MacLachlan's been in a long time.
He's brilliant.
I liked him in Dune, so I'm biased, but like to see him in this, I was like, wait a minute. I was actually pleasant.
I don't really like him. I really like Dune. I liked him in it. I mean, like, I don't like the story of Dune, but I loved him in it. I don't know if that's weird.
I grew up on the Lynch version of Dune, so that's my personal favorite version. I've seen the other versions, but I like the Lynch version better.
He carries it.
Well, as a main character should.
Yeah, and that's another thing I find that with actors, and I was discussing this today on Substack, and it really got a lot of people angry. And that's that I said, I'm tired of the complicated villain, and it should be your hero carrying the story. If your villain is carrying the story, you've done something wrong. And that angered quite a few people.
I feel like there has to be a good balance between the hero and the villain. Like, the motivation to defeat him should be like important.
Exactly. My point was just your villain should not have more screen time than your hero.
That's fair.
And your hero's the hero of the story. There should be a balance of sorts. They need to be opposites. But you don't go having, like, the villain be more heroic than the hero, and the hero more... like, the whole subversion thing was my point.
And I talk to myself in my head.
But...
there's I feel like I feel like that's also...
this movie.
You notice how, like, we were talking about the Joss Whedon dialogue and the Marvelification? I feel like the villain taking up all the screen time, that's a post Sephiroth like situation.
Yeah, and that's why I hate FF7.
Fair. I don't like the I think my irritation is more of the fan interpretation of Final Fantasy VII post 1997. Because I think when the game first came out, it was a great game, but I think the fans needed to move on and find another fucking game. I think that's one of the biggest problems.
Well, the point is, when it comes to FF7, is that it just simply copied the same, almost the same story. Cloud's just a knockoff of Terra. Sephiroth is worse version of Kefka, just with mommy issues, and he cries a lot. So he's basically Jordan Peterson, except villain version. I'm joking. So it's like, but as a kid, I was impressed by the blood scene, but then, later when you see him crying about mommy, I was like, oh, okay, so much for that.
Yeah.
When Cloud at 16, I'm like, someone could take him. Like, as a kid, I was like, what a sissy. And I don't know why I ended up thinking that. Whereas Kefka, I thought, was both funny and weird and terrible all at once. But Kefka's a more murderous version of Joker, which is a pretty scary concept in and of itself.
The whole concept of somebody is completely unhinged, that makes them unpredictable.
Yeah, but with this movie, is the one carrying the movie, much like how I can't even pronounce his name right now. I'm so tired. He carried Dune. Like Flynn is carrying this movie, and this is where it's. But we have such a great cast with this movie, which is something I really appreciate.
It's a pretty solid
And
cast. I'll give you that.
hmm, and I like that when he does set out on the adventure in the plane, not just thrown into the adventure. Like right before he leaves, we do have the joke though, like, wait, the fate of the whole world is in my hands. It's just so sad. And you've got Charlene. Lord help us all. We're
Mm.
screwed. Well, she didn't say we're screwed, but she's like, oh no, we're doomed. While Judson seems to still have faith. Um, I thought that just that exchange was funny.
I think Justin has the
But
most patience out of the two of them, honestly.
yeah, he does. He does. Um, it's hilarious. But I really like that when there are two comedic characters, which is Charlene and Judson. But what I like is that they don't like have them run over by a train or anything. They seem to treat them like they're really really smart, but like there's a dry humor. You know what I mean? It's almost British with these two.
I could see it.
I don't know if you noticed. Like it's not British, obviously, but like
It has the pacing and
um
kind of the writing of a British show.
well, just with these two, like it's just the British humor. Like where these two keep dropping like these um dry jokes.
Which
And
makes me kind of wonder
it
if the writer himself is British or the person that wrote the story.
I have no idea. It could be. Your guess is as good as mine.
David and
And
I'll look it up. I'll look it up while you're talking.
thing is, when he sets off, I like that we get a we get several scenes of him basically just trying to figure this stuff out and trying to determine the language of the birds, which is supposed to be the pre-Tower of Babel language. And of course, he goes on to crack the code to this language. And there we see the over exaggerated IQ of our hero,
Mm-hmm.
whom is Pauschma really um, somewhat over exaggerate. Like
Hmm.
I know I keep repeating that, but like
Yeah.
they really did overdo it.
So
But on the other hand, Noah Weil is so charming, you can't really like he carries it.
I think
He,
that
he convinces you.
the charming nature of his character really does help. Like, you want to follow him. In the beginning, though, he just kind of comes off as dorky, but I guess that's kind of part of the charm.
Yeah, yeah, he is dorky, and there's no denying it. There's I don't want to say problems, but like they almost over dork it.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know,
yeah. It's overselling.
but yeah, I think they needed to find their feet in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But once they reach, uh, well, the interview, they find it,
Mm-hmm.
and I find it's kind of like reading a book. It's like you got to give the first 100 pages a chance because a lot of 300 or 600 page books, the first 100 pages are just set up. You're not going to have like the adventure or the story just starting off in like the first 10 pages. Not every time. Sometimes yes. Like often you got to wait a few pages, like 100
Yeah.
pages or so, and then the writer finds their feet. And Flynn is that character. Takes him like 100 pages, but he finds his way. And then we got all adventure in the plane. I just thought the female goon just saying, "Impressive! He really is a genius." It's just hilarious.
She's really
Like,
fangirling over him.
clear. Yeah. What did you think? Like, I have to admit, first time I saw that, it surprised me. I had no idea where that was going.
Yeah, the fangirl aspect I thought was cool. I like Kelly Hu, and I actually have a funny Kelly Hu story. Because one of my friends actually met her when we both worked at Boston Market. I want to say this is like 2005, and he wound up staying up late one night, and she showed up and had dinner with her family there at our Boston Market. So she actually gave him some advice because he's a screenwriter, or he was at the time he was a perspective, or he wanted to be a screenwriter or a script writer. So he had some scripts that he was kind of shopping around to like certain Hollywood places, and she kind of gave him some advice about how to move forward, or you gotta you only have like a certain amount of time to kind of move on certain things. So she gave him the motivational speech to kind of start putting stuff out to Hollywood. So that's my cool secondhand Kelly Hu story. I've been meaning to tell that story on one of the streams, but apparently that was originally I was going to talk about that on Boss Fight of the Movies when we got to a Kelly Hu movie, but it's kind of happy that we had that conversation here. So, but I like her character. I wish she would have came back, but I looked at the casting for the future movies, and that was just only for that particular movie.
Yeah, it was disappointing. I really like her. And she's hot.
She should have been a recurring character, honestly.
Yeah, because she was freaking hilarious. They should have brought her back in the second movie. The love interest in the second movie was fine, but she fully clicked. The third movie was really good on that front. They did a great job with it. But the first movie, yeah, I just thought she was funny as good female, I guess, villain comic relief, because it's just clearly he's a genius. Look at this. He's completely outsmarted us. No, honey, he's a dimwit who's just been kicked out of a plane or kicked off a cliff, or I don't know.
It's the Inspector Gadget thing. It's like everyone else thinks that Inspector Gadget's like a world-class detective, and like the people close to him knows he's kind of a bumbling idiot, but they love him anyways.
There's something almost realistic with that, at least in this movie, because Flynn is, like, he's new to this. He's never done the Indiana Jones thing before.
Well,
he's like the anti-Indian.
It's mainly
he's more like
this is his first like venture outside of his bubble, and it's a major thing or whatever.
Yeah, he's more like Evie, and he's clearly not as like Evie was really excited about it and was prepared. Flynn, well, I say prepared. For her, she was prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Flynn is not. He is so unprepared for this shit. And it's funny because he's just stumbling into one disaster after another and going, oops, 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 almost. But his knowledge of languages, of history, of culture, of ancient writings and whatnot, in a lot of ways, I think, like I said last time, he's a lot more like Henry Jones. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He was he's more prepared than I guess his preparedness outweighs his experience.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way of describing it. I think that Henry was a lot more experienced. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Than and I think, well, that comes with being Sean Connery, but it's. I have to admit, if they had been wanting to make a young Henry Jones movie, I'd be tempted to say this is a good, actor for it. But the problem is he lacks that accent.
Mm-hmm.
But he of course, nails to roll, and I like the Amazon jungle. I have to admit, um, my favorite parts are probably when it comes to that is actually them actually being inside the buildings and having to crack open the puzzles and figure
Yeah,
stuff out.
that was better. I think a lot of the internal shots were like way better than the external shots because it you clearly could see the budget that they're working with through a lot of the outside shots.
Yeah.
I
Although I
mean,
do like him jumping on the bridge and going, "Oh, this is a lot sturdier than I thought it was."
yeah, and the
You know, yeah.
classic Indiana Jones did this, DuckTales did this, the crumbling bridge where they're just running and it's just falling behind them.
Yeah, they couldn't escape the classic, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's
Um,
one of those, it's a staple of those types of adventure films. So I don't have a negative view on it. I think you almost have to do it if you're going to do those types of
yeah,
movies.
yeah, I guess. I didn't like. I find it's easy to get so used to it you don't even think about it.
Hmm.
Um, I don't really like. I don't have a negative opinion of it. I just don't
No,
notice it anymore.
I think I'll- I've seen in the IMDb reviews and stuff like that. They kind of mention that yeah, the you could tell the graphics are or the CG is kind of but like I look at that as okay, this is a
Hey,
television movie, so I don't necessarily hold
it's
that
better
against
than
it. Yeah, it's a made for TV movie.
today's
That's
CG.
it. The budget's gonna have to be what it is, but the story actually carries it better.
Hey, yeah, but hey, I'm just going to defend this on one front. It's better than today's CG.
Yeah,
Today's
yeah.
stuff looks terrible. Like, I don't know what's going on with today's movies and shows. It's like you're not even trying. You don't even have $5 in it. What did you find some broke ass Indian in New Delhi to do it for? Well, okay, that's probably what they did.
Well, I was gonna
He
say
probably doesn't even know
they
how to drive.
outsource a lot of stuff now, and that's kind of a issue with a lot of things that goes on today, where uh, we're dealing with that in America with bringing a lot of our manufacturing stuff back here, and people are like, what what are you why you don't want to depend on outsourcing stuff? It's like, well, I mean, look at the quality of things.
Shit. Yeah, yeah. Currently, well, just today there was an article about in Italian that someone showed me. Um, the EU just passed a bill to facilitate remigration and massive deportation of millions and just removing jobs back into Europe. So they're kind of doing that and they're cutting some red tape for China to outsource its jobs to Europe, which, like apparently America outsourced its jobs alongside Canada
Hmm.
and Britain to
Hmm.
China. And but China wants to outsource its jobs to like Spain, Germany, Italy, and France, and Ireland, I think.
Yeah, they're trying to fill that void that America's leaving.
Well, apparently, the new generation of Chinese people, really want to work manufacturing jobs as much. So the government's basically thinking, well, we want cheaper stuff, and it's just cheaper to make it in Europe. Like, what
Interesting.
is this? The chain of outsourcing? Like,
Interesting. Well,
where is this? Yeah,
what
it's so
happens
bizarre
when
to me.
there's a shortage of something, or if that outsourcing
I
gig
have no
doesn't
idea.
it falls through? Like, who do you depend on?
Yeah, like I have no idea. So, like, it's one of those things where, yeah, the outsourcing to Spain has been going on for a while,
Hmm.
and the EU basically saying, you know what, we're just gonna like this whole migrant thing. It's been a mistake. We're just gonna this quiet bill, sign this document. We can now just do whatever we want with anyone who's from who is born or who is basically because Europe used to be ethno states.
Mm.
Anyone who is Arabic or African in any way, we could just, you know what I mean, kick them out.
Yeah.
And and the thing is, Europe is a very different animal in, say, the US, Brazil, or Argentina, or even some parts of Canada. Right? These places, like deporting, um, say, blacks or something, would be like, how do you even do that to an extent? You
It's
know
a
what I
good
mean?
question. It's a good
Like,
question.
but and well, I just mean like 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 you're American. How would it even work? How do you even do that? But then when you look at, obviously for America, the deportation thing would be primarily for the Mexicans, Muslims, whatnot. I know.
Yeah.
With Europe, because they were like, until like 5 minutes ago, like 98% European, it's far easier for them to just say, well, we're just going to find these people. We don't care where you're from, just get out and chuck people out. But like I said, apparently this shocked Europeans, and they're now spreading the news and going, "Yay!" It's not that a bill has been passed; it's just that they've decided all the regulation surrounding it, surrounding remigration, is now cut. So it's just one pen stroke away from Brussels from someone just saying, "Yeah, fuck it,
Interesting.
fuck these people out." So, like,
Well,
while America might do these things bombastically, Europe does it, I don't know, between a few bean counters over their coffee.
yeah, there's
Way
a
too many.
people say that the
Like,
multi-party system is like kind of a better system overall, but like I feel like there's way too many hands in the soup pan.
yeah, you might be right. I prefer a monarchy because it just seems like, you know what I mean?
Or
With,
at least power
three
is
estates,
centralized.
so yeah,
I see
but
where you're coming from
also
on that.
it's decentralized as well to the different villages and
Mm,
towns. They handle their own stuff. And you've got the parliament that meets with the king and they decide national stuff and whatnot. It just seems easier.
yeah.
But I'm a historian. Like I study medieval history, so this is what I know. Like I think it worked better than our democracies today and our republics. But yeah, I've been wrong on a ton of stuff in life.
It's
That's
an
one more thing.
it's an interesting
Um,
aside. It's,
yeah, but um, Flynn clearly should be deported out of Brazil. Joking. Actually, the other two. I'm
his
joking.
his
Actually, not. This
navigational
is
his navigational side, the latitude longitude thing, whatever, or understanding. I have to say that's pretty
I think it's
impressive.
cool. Yeah, I could not do that. I had a few people in university I think who could do that, but I couldn't figure it out. It was above my head. See what I did there?
Yeah, you didn't have to climb a tree to get that either.
No, I didn't. Gosh, I love this movie. Um, per, Actually, that's something I think in the second movie you have a few dad jokes, so that's gonna be good. But Nicole is really the character that's kind of guiding Flynn through this one. She's babysitting him
I didn't know how to
throughout a good
feel
chunk
about
of
her
it.
when I first met her. I thought she kind of came off snobbish. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah.
she does. She does. She's a total.
I was like, yeah,
And
I
you don't
get
think
it.
she has a heart. Yeah, you don't think she has a heart till he tosses that rock and there's all those butterflies and whatnot that come out.
Mhm.
Um, uh, that's not something you'd see today because it showed she had a girlish side.
Well, I mean, there
Um,
was an
Better
actual
done.
legitimate reason as to why she was the way she was, and it ties into the events of the movie. And then I was like, okay, okay. If it was just one of those things where she was just straight girl bossing her way through the entire film, that'd be one thing. But I mean, she actually does soften up, and she's like directly affected
Well,
by the events of the film.
let's talk about the villain because he's awesome.
Okay,
Um, yeah, I just like how he's introduced in the shadows and you know who it is. And then in the middle of the movie, it's like, oh, you just saw, what was it? An advanced illusion. Your tears were a nice touch. He's such an ass. and but he says it so diabolically, and it's really great because in previous roles he's played a hero.
Yeah,
In most roles where he plays the hero, he brings a certain amount of charm, charisma, and
innocence,
complexity to the
innocence in
role.
some of the films. Like I would say Blue Velvet, there was kind of a level of innocence that was there that was kind of interesting.
Mm. Twin Peaks,
Twin Peaks, yeah. The
Dune.
beginning of Dune, obviously, like Paul basically knew very little of Arrakis or any of the politicking of what being the Duke of Atreides would entail. So there's that level of innocence, and I think that's part of like Kyle MacLachlan's charm. Like he handles himself very well in his roles.
But when he's playing a villain, he plays it not like he's innocent, but um, there's a bit of madness, pride, and
Arrogance.
it kind of, yeah, arrogance. I was going to say it reminds me of Satan from Paradise Lost.
Okay.
Like he like there's that element of why serve in heaven when you can rule in hell
Mm-hmm.
type of attribute character. He's just so foolish, arrogant, I guess you said,
Oh,
and
extremely so. Like
it really.
it like towards the end when he actually gets close to getting what he actually or what he wants, it is there. You can tell like the arrogance is on 11, and he's so self assured that he's missing like some minor details.
Hmm. And yeah, well, really interesting how the lead up to that, he's missing, like you said, little details about how to, like, he should be able to solve a lot of the mystery of the spear,
Yes,
but he doesn't seem
he was a
able.
librarian, so you would imagine that the same skill set or the same kind of uh personality that would lead to you to becoming that type of figure would play into what it is you're doing, but like it feel like he was lacking in a couple places.
Mm. But he makes up for it in resourcefulness and
Yeah.
connections.
Well, even when Nicole
And
like explains like he was charming, he's like brilliant, blah blah. It's like, yeah, I'm sure he's got more social skills. I feel like he's the exact he's the antithesis of what Flynn's character is.
ah, yeah, and it's really fascinating seeing them on screen together. And yet, like, when Flynn says he's not going to kill us, and there's that whole thing. Like immediately he recovers and he's like, "Fine, take them both." He he does have really good, like, you surprise him, but he recovers quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
He's quicker on his feet.
yeah. That and his social cues are just like he's kind of
Well,
the
he's not an autistic.
yeah he's kind of James Bondish, but not quite like he's not using the full extent of like well I guess like I was
Now
gonna
I'm
say
gonna stop. Why has he not played James Bond yet?
because there's a bias towards more British actors. I think the only one well
Uh,
no Timothy Dalton
well,
is
then,
British.
there's been an Irishman.
Yeah.
There's been an Irishman who played Bond, Brosnan. Okay, fine. This guy has not played a Bond-styled character yet.
I don't think they're planning on doing anything with the Bond license for a very long time. I think Amazon owns that now, so uh
I said something. I said something. A character like that
yeah.
for.
I was gonna say like he would be a great Bond. The problem is that like Amazon's not gonna put out anything of quality. And this is somebody that's a
No,
prime.
it's gonna be some wheelchair-bound schmuck
or a black
Who
woman or
I
something
don't
like
know
that. Some
that
mouthy
might
black woman.
be yeah, or that Mexican chick who played Snow White.
Oh gee. Oh no. Oh
Um,
no. Oh no. Save us.
well, uh, it's just, uh, well, it doesn't really. Like everybody knows it should probably be someone like Henry Cavill, but they're not going to choose him.
That would
Or Kevin
require
McKidd. He'd be
that would
Kevin
require them
McKidd might be
actually
better.
being able to properly utilize Henry Cavill.
Or Kevin McKidd.
Even DC couldn't properly utilize Henry Cavill, and he was right there.
Mm, um, but we've got but as to our villain, I just like how at the end, he's got the spear, accomplished his goal, but he just wants to take the moment to enjoy the thrill of victory. But he doesn't, like you said, he's not as smart as Flynn, and he's damaging parts of the pyramid. And this ties back to the beginning, where if even one brick is a centimeter out of place,
And the whole thing
the
comes
whole
tumbling
thing
down.
goes. Yeah, and
That's a terrible fate, actually. Like I didn't know how that was going to go, but like apparently, yeah, that
buried under the cap.
yeah, being crushed to death by a gold capstone from one of the pyramids. It's kind of a rough fate. I'm actually surprised the spear itself flipped out of the way and like flew to Flynn's hands.
Well, the spear is indestructible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have to admit, I liked that when I first saw it. Now, when I first saw this movie, I was sick out of my mind. I think, the flu.
Mm-hmm.
And um, uh, it was a weekend, thankfully, so I just classes, so I just sat down, I watched this, and it blew my mind. Like, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this would be one of the
Uh,
movies that I would, if I still had cable and this kind of randomly came on, I'd probably, if I caught it, I'd probably watch it. It's got enough material there that kind of keeps your interest to where, like, I would have stayed till the end just to see how it played out.
yeah, I watched it online at the time, and well, I selected like a dozen movies, and I just watched them throughout the day, and I found a few good movies, and I found a few bad ones that way. Uh, Sometimes when I'm sick, I just flick on random shit and just see if I like it.
I do that when I'm drawing too.
Um, yeah, see, I used to do that when I was drawing, but I stopped drawing some time ago. Like a dunce. Nowadays, it's just when I'm writing that I throw random shit on and I listen. Um, this, although the ending with the painting and whatnot, I thought was pretty charming.
Well, it was eventually going to happen, mainly due to the fact that he was the librarian. But
Yeah,
I like how she was like, "Keep your. I hope you kept the receipt."
she's gonna penny pinch him.
Well, she's still not sold on him yet. I mean, she I feel like she is fine with him. She's whatever, but she is going to be that gruff school marm demeanor going
Yeah,
forward.
till the third movie.
Okay, that's
She
something to look forward
absolutely
to.
despises. Yeah, she absolutely despises him in this one and in the second one. And he's gonna still try to get her coffee and whatnot, and she's still gonna be like,
Nobody likes to kiss ass.
yeah, nobody likes to kiss that. Yeah, she just takes his coffee. Um, yeah, like it's so funny because um, it's also that Judson's basically just trying to defend him. He's like, come on, he's not that bad. Like And I feel like there's always those two people at every job. You know what I mean?
Well, Judson's the father
There's always the
figure.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cut out there.
Oh, Judson comes off as the father figure, so it's like he actually is. He's trying to let him move at his own pace, and also he's trying to help him kind of find his footing, because he reveals like at the end of the movie, he's like, "Yeah, I was a librarian too."
Yeah. So he's like, yeah, like I know what it's like. And Judson, um, well, like I said, it's just there's always those two people at every job when you're
Mm-hmm.
starting out. There's one who's like, "Do we have to hire this person?" The other person is like, "Oh, come on, give him a chance."
Yeah,
Um,
I've had that when I worked at Walmart. I've seen a lot of that, and a lot of the people that were like, "Why are you even hiring this person?" And they turn around and are like, "Well, when it's time for you to move on to another job or leave," they're like, "Well, you don't have to leave. You can always stay around. Whatever." They get kind of attached, but it's one of those
yeah,
things.
yeah.
It's a proving ground.
Uh, yeah, and um, although, and oh, I remember I tutored and helped as a research system reports. I remember when the person like, why do we even keep you around? By the time I was leaving, it was like, good, get out. Like, I didn't have the got attached to me. It was everybody else who was like, oh, do you have to go? It's a little funny, but I don't.
Hmm.
I guess I got the anti charm because like the one person was like, why do we even bring him aboard? Never warmed up to me. While the other person, like everybody else who was like, we'll just give him a chance and see how this works out. Like,
It might be
I
one of
don't
those
know.
things like
Maybe the
behind the
next job would
scenes.
be different.
One of those things where like behind the scenes, maybe they actually did
Yeah,
miss you.
yeah, maybe. Um, Still a brilliant scholar, the one who didn't approve of me. So I still learned a lot from her, and like you learn to live with it, and you kind of just go, okay. I never took it personally. It was just you know the way it was. But she didn't approve of. Um, well, she didn't approve of a lot of people. So she didn't even approve of some of the other professors. So it's just she was crabby.
Mm-hmm.
And twice divorced, so it was a bit like Charlene in that regard.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, but Charlene was way more charming. I really like Charlene. Second movie, she's going to be still disapproving. In the third movie, um, she's actually softened and she started to tolerate Flynn. I don't know if that's the right word, but she's started to tolerate him. But she still has a bit of the attitude, save your receipts. And it's revealed in the third movie she doesn't like paying him either. She has to manage like the paycheck. She doesn't like sending it out. She hates sending paychecks.
Well, she
And
said
even the guards think like
she said if he was late, they dock her pay. If done something out of line,
yeah,
dock your pay.
yeah. And in the other movies it's implied she even does that to the guards. Like seriously? I bet she'd probably dock Judson's pay if he was ever late. Just saying. And what's funny is Judson is often late, but doesn't give a flying hoot. Judson's like basically, I don't want to say the owner, but like the manager who he can come in and work the shifts he wants.
He's kind of like the
really
regional
like
manager or the district manager.
Yeah, that's actually a good way of looking at him. That's basically what he is, and he loves his job. And like you'll see in the second movie, he really dotes on Flynn, even as sometimes he has an obnoxious side, and like even the first movie, you know what I mean? He's dry and he's a little obnoxious, just a tad. Well, maybe not obnoxious, maybe tactless is the right word. Um, But I think that the core trio, they did a good job introducing them one at a time and whatnot. That's something I wonder, like, not too many movies really do the gradual introduction of the trio in an organic type of way.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore, I mean.
Well, a lot of modern stuff, they have to know how to write first.
Uh, and people these days, it's like, well, I saw on Twitter everybody going, oh, it's just Gen Y that doesn't know how to write. I don't know. There's a lot of Gen Xers and baby boomers over in Hollywood who don't know how to write either. It's like we said before, it's not a generational thing, it's a bean counter thing. You can't create something by committee, and yet this is what the film industry does. Creates things by committee. And it's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie is something that just feels a lot more organic. But it's also very, I don't want to say kiddie, but it's charming, and it doesn't try to be something it's not.
It's a family, kind of a family show or family programming.
Yeah.
Because there's a wholesomeness to it.
The second and third ones basically go for that, even as they get a little darker. And they get a lot darker, I should say, but they try to, like, it sort of gets into Brothers Grimm territory, but they're still trying to keep it, I don't want to say classy, but at least a little clean. You know what I mean? Like, careful. They're dancing a knife's edge, and they do it really well. And that's something I don't think too many movies try to do anymore. I feel like this movie looked at Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and still tried to be itself.
Yeah, I can see that.
Not many movies try to do that. Then again, I don't know many movies these days which are to make something like an adventure movie with history and mythology at its core, like Indiana Jones. Which you could really use a lot more of. Because, well, how do I put it? We're in dire need of something, I don't want to say family friendly, but something like adventurous and fun. And let's just say the 2020s for film and cinema has not been fun for the most part. It's just been a shit show. Well, I do believe you and Jen have probably commented much the same number of times. Like I said, I would have been curious to see what Jen thinks of this film. But I'm gonna quickly ask, like, did you actually watch this with family or by yourself?
I watched it by myself. We went out to eat last night because it was payday. So
cool.
I was like, I'll take family out to eat. Okay. They went to go do their own thing, and I came downstairs and kind of started drawing and watching this. So I was like, I was kind of like just absorbing the movie, but really around the interview is when I kind of got invested. And from there on, I was like, okay, this is pretty solid.
Before that, you were going, why the hell did he recommend this?
Well, the intro itself just kind of, I was like, oh, he's going to, it kind of reminds me of, okay, so, what was it? If you look at the beginning of Ace Ventura versus the parts where he actually starts doing detective work, you're like, Ace Ventura is kind of it kind of comes off as a weirdo, kind of a annoying character or whatever. And then when he actually starts doing detective stuff and actually finding things or putting together pieces or whatever, You get a little bit more invested in the character and what they're doing. The beginning, it was just kind of, it was way too just out there. Well, like you said, we didn't find the footing until about the interview section. Actually, to be honest, I probably kind of started getting invested right around the time where his mom kind of talks to him about his search for knowledge and how they
Oh, that's a great scene, which is the like, because the moral lesson of the film is like maybe you don't know so much because some things you can learn up here, referring to the brain, but you have to learn with your heart. And like there's a difference between
and
intelligence slash knowledge
yeah,
and wisdom.
book smarts versus street smarts, basically.
Yeah, to an extent. Wisdom is, well, also learning uh, to think with your heart and feel stuff, which Flynn's not good at. Um, which, well, it's because he buries his nose in books, also because, uh, as they basically imply, I think in the second and third movie, video games bore him. Movies occasionally entertain him, but he prefers books. So he loses himself in those. Also, because there's more hours he can waste in them and things, because it takes more time with books. So the idea is spending as much time as possible, so as he's not uh, feeling. And it, this is sort of an arc he has to do in the second movie, where he's got to learn to actually manage his crap. And um, but in the second movie, he's the swashbuckler. He's not got Nicole to hold his hand. He's got to kind of do the sword fighting and adventuring himself, and it's really neat seeing him do that. And the third movie, he does that right alongside someone who can do it as well.
I see.
And so that it's like in the third movie, it all comes together with, like someone who's able to do the guardian thing for him, even as he's able to do it. So that they kind of, but the interesting thing is also that Nicole, the love interest in the second movie, also tend to verbally abuse him, like they trash talk him. And Flynn kind of just takes it. But in the third movie, it's a totally new experience for him when he meets someone who's actually feminine and who doesn't trash talk him and simply pushes him to be you know what I mean, the male in the relationship.
Well, at the end of the movie, I did notice that like he kind of learns how to roll with it.
Yeah, he learns to roll with it in the first movie, and by the third one, he has, but he's kind of forgotten a little how to. Like he's learned that rough side of life, so that he's kind of forgotten. How do I put it? The gentlemanly side. You know what I mean? It's interesting seeing him.
He comes into his own, basically.
Yeah, and it's interesting seeing him grow and change because you really see an arc across every individual movie, but also across all three. It's something that's really interesting in that is it feels a lot more gradual than say Evie, who in Mummy 1 and 2 jumped like across two different arcs. You know what I mean? Like she's jumped from the librarian who needs to rescuing to all of a sudden, being the badass who doesn't need any rescuing ever again. And it's a little abrupt. Now, I'm not criticizing the movie. It is supposed to be 10 years later or 11 years later or something, which makes sense in the context of those movies, and it works. In the Librarian movies, in the trilogy, they do it much more gradually. And because they're trying to do it in a way that I think they just wanted to do it so that they wouldn't break immersion. And have an overarching story. It's really interesting that just a lot of movies like this don't do the overarching role, like character arc across 3 movies. This one does, and I I've I got a soft spot for this movie. I'm not gonna lie, and for the 2 sequels, also because they combine myth and history really, really, really well. I like that. Um, but um, I'm now gonna ask, what would be the movie for next week?
Mm, I think we should probably try. I think you should probably try Altered States. I think it would kind of go into that religious kind of theming,
Okay.
even though it's more of a
Alt.
horror aspect. But yeah,
Ooh, I'm game for horror.
yeah, it's kind
Let me
of
see that.
science fiction slash like horror slash psychological.
Thriller. Yeah, okay. Let me
Yeah.
just look her up.
Oh.
Um, it's based in part on John C. Lilly's sensory deprivation research conducted in isolation tanks under the influence of psychoactive drugs like mescaline and LSD. Oh, he was stoned out of his freaking mind.
Yeah, he's doing sensory deprivation experiments, trying to. I guess he's trying to reach the a higher consciousness and try to communicate with God. He ties a lot of the sensory deprivation stuff to kind of what schizophrenics kind of feel. Like I think scientifically, a lot of schizophrenics tend to have more religious themed hallucinations. So he's trying to kind of like he's solving the case of the universe and trying to communicate with God, but it winds up like kind of horribly backfiring on him. It's an
Okay,
interesting,
I'm
like,
just looking up.
yeah. It's I don't think this. It's an hour 42. It's a 1980 film, so it gets kind of tech heavy, but it's really good. It actually kind of there's a family theme or relationship theme because as a scientist he kind of neglects his family and then kind of realizes that his wife has been there for him the whole time. She kind of helps with a lot of the main plot stuff.
Hmm,
Is
okay.
that Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah, William Hurt's fantastic. Like I love William Hurt as an actor. So he hasn't been in very many things that have been I thought were terrible.
I don't
Uh,
really know him, so
I
take
was,
your word for it.
gonna say William. Let me see. And he passed away a while back, but
Okay, that's a shame.
I guess he did play Thunderbolt Ross in the 2008 Incredible Hulk film. So don't hold that against him. He was in the show called Damages. Let's see. He was in AI Artificial Intelligence. I remember that. He was in Dark City, which was really good. That's another one I probably should suggest. Probably later down the line. Oh, that's right. He was in The Village. Okay, he was in one one not so good thing. He did play Leto Atreides in the 2000 version of Frank Herbert's Dune. It was a sci-fi one. That was kind of more of a play than a TV show. But yeah, he
Right.
did a lot of science fiction stuff, and the movie's visuals are freaking fantastic. Like for a 1980s horror film, like the effects and everything is just so next level. Oh, there's a scene where he basically de-evolves, and it's just, oh my god, you have to legitimately sit down and watch that though.
Wasn't there a scene like that in one Space Odyssey movie?
something like that, but this is more like a transformational scene where like
I'm starting. I'm starting to notice a trend with you. You like your weird ass
psychological.
LSD movies.
A lot of well, you got to
Um,
remember a lot of the '70s sci-fi was kind of heavily drug induced, which is probably why a lot of the fantastical elements of those movies were the way they were. Now, I'm more of an in terms of vices, I'm more of an alcoholic than I'm not really a drug user, but I do like the visuals.
huh. You ever gonna get anything that's not sci-fi out of you?
Um,
Joking.
I'm I have a vast movie collection, so I'm pretty sure there's something in there that we'll find. It kind of depends on. It's one of those things where it's nearest neighbor or something kind of reminds me of something that I could suggest. Then I'll be like, okay, you should check this out. But
Yeah, okay.
I didn't realize he was in a
Alrighty.
version of Robin Hood.
Mhm.
It was the 2010 Robin Hood, so that's not really saying much.
Eh,
But yeah, that's pretty much the show. Like, there's way less time spent on this one than on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. That was like a 2 hour thing.
yeah. It was as long as the actual movie. This one, we're kind of like, well, it was good. It's
It,
just not.
it's about it.
It's not like it's not a sweeping epic.
Yeah,
Like,
it wasn't a terrible movie. I actually really enjoyed myself like by the end of that. But it was like an hour and some change, so it wasn't really a long movie. It got to the point where it needed to.
yeah, yeah. Like this trilogy is like a mom and pop's shop. You going there for fine cuisine, but you're going there. Well, actually, okay, mom and pop shops are fine cuisine in my book. I really like them, but it's kind of like you're going there just because they serve home fries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the food's good. You know it's going to be good. It's like it's not going to blow your mind. It's not a Japanese wagyu steak that like it's going to be the best thing you ever ate. It's just nice. It's good.
Like a
I
dive.
enjoy it, but it's not. Yeah, yeah. It's like, well, this is nice. This is good. And sometimes you need that because it's a good palate cleanser, or it's just a nice way to spend the time with the family or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
How I kind of look at it. Um, Ironically, I tried watching this with a date once, and she just had no interest. Then again, she didn't have much interest in anything. It seems. Um, but um, so we've got Altered States, and I have no idea. It might either be the second library movie, or I'll have to recommend something like I don't know.
That's fun. I'm
Something
interested.
horror.
Yeah, I'm interested in watching the next two movies in this series. I might not be interested in the television show. I am interested in wanting to see how the next two
Oh,
movies go in this.
no, I don't really like. If we're gonna move to TV shows, I'd rather it be something we both know, like we're gonna like, and we're both, you know what I mean, experienced with, and we could
Yeah,
analyze and review without, I don't know,
there's there's a few
being all
police
over it.
procedurals that I'm fond of.
Yeah, I'm fond of a few history dramas, um, but right now I'm content with movies. I don't know.
I think
That's fine with you. Like,
movies are standalone enough to actually be great. Like it's a one and done, and there's like enough content there to actually like just kind of talk about and critique and kind of work through.
because we basically did a couple of the Rocky movies, I think, and that was the closest we came to not doing a standalone. Um, and and I guess this movie's just this trilogy's the second one like that. I don't know. But yeah, Altered State. Okay. Wonder if Jin will be providing the LSD
Uh,
when the time comes.
if I
It's
could catch
tough.
him, he's a busy man these days.
He's very busy, and it's also Holy Week, so like, I don't know how it is in the U.S., but here, there's a few days of this week that are basically there's no work, so
Yeah,
people are trying to always just cram in the like 2 3 days where there is work, just cram as much as possible. And I'm going to be honest, if we hadn't done this, I probably would have fallen asleep at 5 because it's
that's
just
fair. I was we're finishing up Lent here, so I mean it's been nothing but fish fries and just a lot of other things. So I know Sunday for sure I am going to be probably out and about doing the family dinner stuff. And
you should probably take churches there, so you're going to have to probably attend that.
yeah, that's Easter Sunday, and where there is that, there's also Easter egg hunts and children based
Oh,
things.
and yeah, you also have to do that. Um, like just the holiday aspect and the aspect are probably gonna kick your ass that day. Good
It's
thing
gonna
we're
be a
not doing
long day.
like it's a good thing we're not doing the review on Saturday, Sunday or anything because I
Yeah,
don't think that's possible.
I'm gonna be severely
Um,
limited my my Saturday Sunday stuff just because of that. I want to I want to get my yard
still,
worked on too, but I gotta get groceries and get the yard worked on and cram all my Saturday stuff so I can actually have my Sunday free to do everything else. So my weekend is not
yeah,
my own. I don't like those when your weekend's not your own situations.
same, but yeah, you learn to live with it.
Yeah, it's like I kind
Um,
of soldier on through.
yeah, and you're doing a great job with it.
Thank you.
So, hey, anytime it's uh, I only know you through the screen and whatnot, but you
I could
got
be a serial killer. You don't. No, I'm kidding.
no, no, I don't think like what are the odds both of us are serial killers? Okay. I'm joking. I'm joking. I got that joke from How I Met Your Mother. Now there's a great freaking show.
Yeah, that's not the first
Um,
time I heard that joke. That's probably the third time this week somebody dropped that on me, and I was like, that's actually funny. That's
okay. I don't think I've ever I don't okay, I think I had a date once quote that joke to me and I was a little unnerved. But that was um yeah, but e- um yeah, we'll skip this Saturday and we'll head for the next Saturday.
that's
How's
fine.
that
That's
work?
fine. So yeah, we will come back and we'll be back here for Altered State. So be sure to check that out. Before we go, anything recent that
Forget
you
to
want?
subscribe.
Well,
I'll just
obviously.
plug I'll just plug kind of Blood and Khaled Bolg and uh Khaled Bolg is $1 on Kindle, $2 or $3 I think for Crown of Blood. And Khaled Bolg is basically an Irish coming of age Arthurian type story. Anyone wants to check that out, and even if it's just for $1, you know what? Like, read it and pass it along to the kids. But most of all, subscribe to Full Screen Boss Fight, best channel on Rumble.
Sounds good. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us for this episode, and we will see you next boss fight. Take care. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. It is Wednesday. Wednesday.
Yeah, already.